Hello and welcome to NEF Real Estate Podcast. My name is Zhanna and today our new episode. And today we will be talking about the London property market. So if you're looking for investments in London and you're just interested in this market, this episode is for you. And today I'm happy to introduce and to welcome colleagues from London, from Barratt, London, Yolanta and Stuart. Hello.
Hello.
And thank you for coming. Thank you for your time, and would be very interesting conversation.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Great. So let's talk about the market, the Barratt projects, and London, of course. So could you please tell a few words about the company, about the Barratt London?
Sure, Zhanna. So for people who don't know the Barratt brand or Barratt London, so we're part of the Barratt Red Road Developments PLC. So the company's been going since 1958. We've now delivered over 650,000 homes across the UK. We came together with Redrow earlier this year, so we are now the UK's largest house builder. Barratt London is the specialist London developer for the Barratt Group, and we specialise in regeneration of new areas of London and old areas of London that need renovation. So we've currently got 9 projects live across the capital, and very often they're close to good transport links, great amenities, and of course all the way across London, there is many magical steps and attractions. So lots of reasons for people to visit London, but the Barratt brand is definitely at the forefront of London development.
Great. And what do you see now on the market, and how it was in 2024, and what do you see? What is your expectation on 2025?
So we've seen a lot of challenges and headwinds in the market over the last couple of years. Obviously, we've had Brexit, then we've had COVID, the same as everybody. But we saw a resurgence after the COVID break. And since then, we did see a strong performance in the London market. With interest rates rising and there's been affordability issues in the UK, we have seen that market constrained slightly. But we're seeing very much a resurgence from the beginning of this year, particularly in the UK market. There's definitely confidence there. There's interest rates are dropping. And we're really seeing a lot of interest in our marketing suites with visitor numbers up and people looking to buy new homes.
So you see that's people buying for themselves, or is it international investors or maybe local investors? What is the profile of your buyers?
So certainly for the domestic market, there's usually a reason for somebody to buy a property. So it's often upsizing, downsizing, moving location. Perhaps people are having babies. Perhaps people are moving on.
Life is going on.
So
yes.
that's a needs-based purchaser. So that's probably the most of the domestic market. Also from the international market, there's still this needs-based purchase as well. So either for education, for immigration, or for people wanting to relocate to the UK. So those are, again, needs-based purchases. But there are also investors that are looking to invest into London, invest into London property. As an asset class, it's a very stable market. It's long-term has delivered extremely good returns. So if you look over the last 30 years, there's a very constant return of around about 9.5%. So really compelling investment opportunity.
For London.
Yeah, and I think people are also looking to diversify their funds into the UK as a safe market as well. It's also at the moment, particularly with US pegged dollar currencies, the UK pound has been under pressure, so it is a really good time to hedge that funds into the UK. And with the market having been a little bit slower over the last few months, then we see opportunities for people to buy.
But as far as I know, you focus mostly on areas like behind the first area. I mean, this zone 1 and maybe 2 and 3. So you're choosing this strategic to build your projects outside, I would say, central London. But why is it? Why you decided to do this?
So about 5 years ago, we made the decision to move from zone 1 and 2 and look at where we could deliver more volume of sales. more volume of property. So the property is being developed in areas that need regeneration, and it's often industrial brownfield sites that are underutilized.
Sorry that I interrupted, because I know that there are a lot of new projects which called like regeneration, where so you change the area itself, and maybe it's former industrial areas, it turns into the nice residential areas. What way?
Definitely. So we're creating new communities, new amenities, and new spaces. But the important thing is the reason why we moved from zone 1 and 2 outwards is because we didn't see a medium to long term prospect in price growth. So we see in the areas zones 3 to 5, not only can we build quicker and more efficiently, so we can pass on good value for money to our clients, but it's also where we see the price growth is going to increase the most.
So there is some potential increasing and some potential.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you look at the market average, usually it's around 54% increase over a 10-year period. So if you look at the regeneration hotspots, or where we've had large projects like Hendon Waterside, where there's been 10 years of development, we've seen 136% growth in those areas. So that really shows where our expertise in regeneration helps to drive the volume and the returns for the investors.
I see. So maybe we will talk more about your projects now. I know you're about to launch a new phase of project in Wembley, and it was just one phase, the first phase, and you're going to start another one.
Yeah.
Maybe you Yolanda, tell us more.
Tell you more about it.
Yes, about this, maybe another project, and to focus on this new phase of Wembley Park Gardens.
Park
Gardens, yes.
Absolutely. So Wembley Park Gardens is our third Barratt London project in Wembley. So it's a very established area. It's very well connected. So this development itself sits on top of the tube station. It's actually a partnership that we have with Transport for London. So we're very lucky to have that partnership because it gives us the opportunity to build on very well connected kind of areas of land that connect you to all parts of London. So this site, like I said, our third one. So we know Wembley well. We know it does extremely well for both the domestic and kind of international buyers. We launched phase 1, and it was one of our it was our best-selling site in Barratt London, and actually was ranked second best-selling in 2024. So it was a really successful development for us, and we got buyers kind of from all over. We're now launching the second phase, Stevenson House, which will be launching at the end of this month. So that will be bringing studios and 1s and 2 beds to the market again, and hopefully we'll see a really good success rate there. It's a good site for investment and for living because of the lifestyle that you get in Wembley. So if anyone doesn't know Wembley, it's got Wembley Arena, and kind of it's known for its lifestyle. You've got a place called Box Park, which is a kind of food festival place that you can go. You've got
Wembley Stadium,
of course. You can go see Taylor Swift. You know, she's now had her presence there.
Some great concerts.
Amazing.
I attended.
Yes. You said, was it Coldplay you went to?
Yes, Coldplay. It was in 2022. It was amazing, absolutely.
And it's a great atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There's a real big buzz.
And the stadium was full of people, completely full.
Yeah, so it's a destination. It's a landmark in London. People know it. People want to visit there. So it's great to be able to buy a piece of that in London because there aren't many opportunities to do that now. So it's really, really well received from lots of people. It's a great development in the sense that we've got the concierge. You're right on top of the tube, so you can get into Bond Street in 12 minutes. You can get into Baker Street in even less time. You can get anywhere within London.
There are two
tube so you can get on the Jubilee line or the Metropolitan line. So as I said, great connections into anywhere in the rest of London. So we're really excited to launch it. Prices currently start from 442,000 for a 1 bed, but the new phases the prices haven't been released yet.
So that will be 1, 2, 3 beds.
Yeah.
No studios?
There will be, so there's some studios.
Some studios. Yeah. Is it, by the way, popular studios in these locations? And
yeah, we always find, so we always have a small percentage of studios, and they always tend to sell kind of the quickest in terms of our product, purely because they're, the entry kind of price point, but also they're great from an investment perspective. So perhaps someone doesn't want to spend, lots and lots of their capital on, one of the bigger apartments. They can kind of buy one of the smaller ones, still get a good return on it, and it will hold its value.
Okay. Maybe some words about another project.
We've got, so as Stuart
areas.
said, 9 currently live, but we do have quite a few launching in the next couple of months. So our next big project, another Regeneration, will be a site called Crown Wharf in Canning Town. So that is a proper East London site, so kind of the other side of London now, in East London, again on the Jubilee line and the DLR, so really well connected to Canary Wharf, Stratford, again into kind of Bond Street and London Bridge. 870 odd units that we'll be building on the river, so great views into Canary Wharf and the city. That's going to be launching in May, and that will be a really big one for us to bring to the market. So again, we'll have studios 1, 2s and 3s. We'll have a marketing suite on site and a sales team looking after that. But it's a really, really exciting one for us to launch because it's a big one in an area that, you know, there's a lot going on there, and we see really good potential in the next kind of 5 to 10 years there.
Great. And as far as I see that now, the new projects, I see that's the potential residents, they would like to see some amenities inside and some like infrastructure. What would you add? Which infrastructure you provide to the future residents?
To the residents. So different sites have different amenities. So most of our sites will always have a concierge. Some will have residence lounges. We offer gyms on some. So Crown Wharf, for example, will have a gym, residence lounge, will have the 24-hour concierge.
Parking?
Most of our sites don't offer parking because we're trying to be car free. So London is so well connected. We've got the best infrastructure in terms of tubes and trains that we actually encourage car-free zones as much as possible.
Use this excellent London transport infrastructure.
Yeah, and you know we know what Dubai's traffic like, having just been stuck in it. So we're trying to avoid that in London as much as we can. So
it's also constantly improving as well.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure is growing all the time. The Transport for London is a non-profit organisation, so they plough all of the money back into the infrastructure. So we recently had the Elizabeth line, which was Crossrail, that came online. That's really boosted the areas all the way along the train line, connecting the whole of West London all the way through Central to East London as well. Some of our projects like Hayes Village really benefited from that. It's a local station that's on the Elizabeth line, so it's cut down travel time from sort of 50 minutes to 20 minutes into Bond Street. So it's really just kind of shrinking the capital and making these outer suburbs a lot more accessible.
Definitely, And about the apartments themselves, I mean, which conditions you sell these apartments? I mean, what is the furniture, finishing, what is included?
Well, so we have a good level of specification, high level of specification. Stuart has a phrase, which I'll let you say in terms of shaking them.
Oh, so if you turn it upside down and shake it, then anything that falls out is not included.
Very good
so appliances, everything that you would expect. So you can move in, and other than your furniture, everything's there. So we have high level of appliances, really lovely kitchens. They're all individually designed in terms of the development. So depending on where you're buying, you might have a different colour scheme, different, colour palettes, whether it be kitchens or tiles. But we also offer customer upgrades, so people can purchase wardrobes or additional things, upgrade their specification. But they're ready to move into, and then people can design them themselves. So perfect for investors who are going to be renting them out because it's a blank canvas, but equally great for someone who's going to be living in it as an end user because they can, really make it their own.
Okay.
And Barratt's not just the UK's largest developer, we're also trying to lead on sustainability as well. So we have 5-star energy rated appliances throughout the properties, and we are looking to bring in modern methods of construction and things like air source heat pumps to reduce carbon footprints and make the properties more efficient as well.
Now it's important.
And particularly with energy prices having gone up significantly all across the world.
Yes, of course, it's also good for residents who
so we
would
try
be
to
pay
keep the
less
costs down.
For new homes are the best in the sense of new homes versus what we call like a second-hand home in the UK. The price difference of energy bills is huge. So it's a big selling point for us to ensure that we can make sure people are living in homes that are affordable in that sense with their bills.
There's actually, even for UK customers, there's what's called a green mortgage now. So when the mortgage lender is looking at the amount that the person can borrow, they consider the saving in cost from a new home because of the energy efficiencies. So it's really important that we maintain that 5-star rating across the board.
let's talk about investment, but people who are looking for property in London, like as an investment. What return they can expect, let's say in 5 years, in 10 years, example?
So medium to long term is the right frame to look at London property. It's definitely not a property.
It's not for flipping. It's
definitely not.
Of course.
So we look at minimum 5 years, but onwards. If you look at the market average over the last 30 years from the land registry, then the price of properties went up approximately 9.5% per year. That's obviously compounded. So if you've got a leveraged property where you've borrowed money from a mortgage, then the returns can be significant, up to from 85 to 100%, considering you're putting in a small deposit, perhaps 15 to 20%. So it's
sorry, a mortgage available for international buyers?
They are, but the more that you borrow, the higher the rate. So if most people from overseas will buy with a 50% or a 60% mortgage, so that rate comes down a little bit more. But we look at the asset class as really low risk. So if we did an actual comparison of all of the different asset classes, and the only one that outperformed London property was gold. So when investing, a lot of people will look at high risk, medium risk, and low risk. And what we're seeing is that people are choosing London because they associate it with a low risk investment. So you've got your sort of, your crypto markets, you've got your exciting markets, Dubai markets, it's booming, it's exciting. But we were here 10 years ago and there was very little in Dubai. It's grown amazingly well. But in London, you've got over 1,000 years of history.
Yes, of course.
So this regeneration it's our biggest challenge, is to find land and opportunities for us to regenerate. So that's helping to drive prices. But the other challenge is there's a fundamental undersupply of property in the UK, but also in London as well. Yeah. So our challenge is planning permissions. We were talking to developers today in the Middle East, and they're getting planning permission and starting on site in a week. It takes us to go through a very convoluted and challenging process to maintain the quality and standards of the development. It can take up to 2 or 3 years. So what's good is, when you develop in London, you have to have 2 different types of permission. One is from the local borough or municipality, and the other is from the GLA, which is effectively the Mayor of London. So there's 2 checks you have to go through, and they're checking things like building controls, number of how many properties you have that are 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds. So they're trying to maintain a good mix across the capital of what's required, but there's still a very, very undersupplied market, so that's helping to keep the prices up.
So it's a very good way to diversify portfolio of our investors, not only Dubai and UAE in general, but also very stable, very predictable, I would say, London property. Yeah, and what about the process of buying, and because maybe you know that in Dubai there is a payment plans, for example, yes, and not only in Dubai, in UAE, which last all this time of construction. I know that this different situation in the UK.
Yeah, so we have a payment plan as well. So depending on our development, some of the schemes are further off plan than others, but what we always ask is 10% as a deposit up front, so that's kind of what binds you into the contract, and then 90% is payable on handover or completion. So for many investors, that's a great opportunity for them to continue to diversify their product. They can buy other things in the meantime. They can move their assets around and kind of liquidate. So it gives them opportunity. It doesn't completely tie you into having to put all of your capital or money up front. So the 10 and the 90, and that can be 3 or 4 years off plan sometimes. So the next phase in Wembley doesn't hand over until 2028. So you put down 10 now, and you've got 3 years.
You don't have to freeze a lot of money.
Exactly. So I think it's positive.
You just pay for ready property.
Yeah, exactly.
The majority of the sum. Yeah.
The positive thing when you've got units that maybe, or properties that are completing sooner. So, okay, you might not have 3 years, but they might complete in the next 6 months or 1 year. You then have your immediate return on your investments with the rentals. So we know London has a really strong rental market, and it's, continuing to grow because of that undersupply of properties and things like that. So the rental market is strong, and we continue to see that. But that means that investors who are letting it out, get their properties rented from the minute that they do their handover, they've got tenants in place. And we're seeing against our current kind of gross asking prices, anything from 5 to up to 6.5% returns from a rental yield, which is a really, really strong figure, because previously London used to be 2-3 percent. So
as I said, it's very good numbers for London. It's 5-6%. It's very good.
Don't see that very
It's
often.
comparable it's comparable with this local market actually.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really positive.
I mean, the numbers are important, Zhanna, but also it's the confidence in the developer as well. So quite often when we speak to people from overseas, they've bought into a project that hasn't been delivered or hasn't been delivered on time. So it's really important when customers are paying just 10% that they believe and they have confidence that we're going to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. So, we have a great reputation and track record behind us, but we also have a 5-star customer service rating as well. So we've held it for 15 years, which is better than any other developer in the UK. But what it means is that 90% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family as well. And they often do. So it's really important that when people are investing, they feel confident in the deliverability of the product.
Yeah, that's great. And by the way, do you have kind of service for investors who would like to rent out their apartments, or maybe you collaborate with local companies who can help with that?
Different ones, don't we?
Yeah, so we don't have a service in-house in Barratt, but we do partner with lots of kind of agents, and some of them are international, so that they can do it almost from different regions. But we have different agents, nearby who can find tenants straight away and manage that process, and then we will introduce the clients to those agents and ensure that they're getting well looked after. So that is a possibility. It's just not currently, it's not in-house with Barratt at the moment.
And we also have panels, or because we've got the volume of the business behind us, we have partners. So whether it's new homes mortgage advisors,
Solicitors.
we have solicitors, and we also have letting and management companies as well.
When you buy a property, you need solicitor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's slightly different to the system here. So you need a solicitor, and the buyer would need a solicitor in the UK. And what happens is, once the reservation is completed and we've agreed the purchase of the property, then the buyer will instruct their solicitors, we instruct our solicitors, and they come together to create the contract and exchange contracts.
And what's an additional payments when you buy a property in London? I mean,
so there's additional costs in terms of tax and things.
Taxes.
So every person will be different. It's dependent on their circumstances. So what we would normally do is advise the clients to speak to a financial advisor. We don't advise on tax because it is so specific to a customer, but they can speak to a financial advisor who will advise them in their position what they would need to pay. So you have to pay a stamp duty land tax, which is non-negotiable, but there'll be different kind of amounts of how much you pay depending on
it depends which is it your first
exactly
first
so
property,
lowest is if
or are you
never
a
owned.
resident of this country, or you're non-resident, and so on.
Exactly. So it might range for different people, but that's something that you pay upon handover. But all of that would be talked through kind of during the buying process, to make sure it's really clear that every customer knows what they need to forecast for at the point of completion.
And actually, I remembered one question which I'm very curious about. I know that there is a system of, it's not like freehold, it's leasehold. But now I see that the leasehold is Peppercorn. It sounds very nice, but what is it? What does it mean?
Well, so originally, we had ground rent. So the lease, so freehold properties don't pay it, but leasehold properties, so anything within apartments normally, we're paying ground rent, and that could have been anything from 200, 300, £1,000 per annum, depending on kind of the management company and the freeholder. That's now been changed to what we class as a peppercorn, which is just a silly name. I don't know where it actually comes from, but it means that you virtually don't pay that. So I think it's a maximum of £1 a year or something that they could charge.
Or one peppercorn.
It's exactly that. So it's a token kind of number, but it means that we no longer have to charge customers that, which is great. It's a big saving, especially in London where it was quite high.
Yeah, because previously you have to pay every year for
and it could change. But now that's
I think it concerns only the new projects I think.
So when we complete the property now, what we do is we set up a residence company, residence management company, and each of the properties in the development owns a share of that company, and we transfer the freehold to that property to that company. So in essence, the homeowners also own the freehold of the property, so it's a much more secure scenario, and the costs are slightly lower as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they get to make decisions on what happens within their apartment buildings and things like that.
And also, just with regards to the tax, it's really important for people to understand, if you're looking to invest from overseas, there's no restrictions for overseas buyers to buy into the UK. But there are some taxes to pay. However, the majority of those taxes are paid by the UK residents through income tax and everything else. But all of that tax funds all of the infrastructure improvements, the public realm, the public services as well, schools, hospitals, and National Health Service. So there are huge benefits that overseas buyers get without contributing through the ongoing taxation as well. And the other thing is that a lot of buyers from overseas will buy in a company name. Again, there are specialist companies that will set up companies to deal with that as almost as a sort of professional investor, and there are benefits to that as well. And then finally, if they're buying multiple properties, then there are often reductions in stamp duty as well due to multiple dwellings.
So you have kind of clients like international funds and so on, or just private?
Well, we do from time to time, but the majority of our business is from owner-occupiers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the next plans? Maybe you can share some insights. Maybe you can expect some new projects, upcoming projects, maybe this year or next year.
So as Yolanda mentioned, so we've done a joint venture with Transport for London. So where there are underutilised sites or perhaps brownfield sites that they're not using, they now partner with Barratt London to redevelop those into residential or mixed-use developments. So one of the projects that we're bringing to the market later in the year is in Bollow Lane. So that's in Acton, East Acton. So it's very close to White City, which is a development that an area that many people will have heard of from overseas. So that's a very exciting project for West London. And then Yolanda, you mentioned so
we've got the Canning Town, Crown Wharf, but we also have another development in southwest London. So we had one successful development there called Springfield Place. It's kind of the next phase of it. So it's sat on a 32-acre park in southwest London, which is beautiful. So that's called The Lanes. That will be launching in April. And then we have a southeast development in kind of more of a residential suburban area called Sydenham, and that's going to be called The Light Makers. So that will be launching in June. So we've got lots coming to the market, a big pipeline.
Like that name.
We've got lots of new things.
So it will be some suburbs as well, because I think it's making more and more popular to move
due to the schools and things like that. So we've got there's lots of areas of London that people don't know about probably internationally, but actually they're close to very good schools, secondary schools, universities. Like I said, still really well connected on train lines or tubes, and these are smaller developments that have a real community feel. So there's lots of locals that choose to live there, but then you've also got international clients that are moving there with their families or for their children. So it's a really nice mix of people in those slightly smaller.
And quite often for the investors, looking at areas that are really popular and well known, there's not as much value opportunity for price growth there.
Yes, of course.
Whereas if you look at areas that we're developing in, some more interesting areas, the likes of Bermondsey Heights, Hendon Waterside in northwest London, Stirling Place, which is close to Wimbledon. These are locations that people can associate with. People know the arches at Wembley, or they know the tennis at Wimbledon.
Yes, of course.
But the areas close by them are really regeneration hotspots. So they're buying in very early. And if you look at areas such as Battersea Power Station, we were in that area.
Yeah, it's very successful and it's really beautiful. Very beautiful.
Yeah, so we were very, very early into that regeneration. We did a project called 9 Elms Point. So we finished that around 5 years ago. It was a very big regeneration project of a Sainsbury's supermarket. We delivered hundreds of properties on that site. And now, because we're very early, those investors are getting much better returns. So it's not unusual for investors who hold the property for maybe 4 or 5 years to have rental yields of more than 10 or 11%. So looking for those areas where we believe is going to be higher value, good infrastructure improvements also drives the values higher as well. But don't always look for the most well-known areas. Sometimes try to look outside the box.
Yes, you need to look maybe ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
And buy with your head rather than your heart.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I know that investors, they always say, you know...
It's mostly about investment, of course.
Yeah.
It is. But also, if it doesn't feel right, then they won't invest. So it's important, again, they feel comfortable through the customer journey. It's really important to note also that we've got the marketing suites on site as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've also got the interactive presentations, so people can visit the sites, they can see how the project's going to come to light. And quite often with these big regeneration sites, although we're not launching new sites all the time, we're bringing new phases to the market. So there'll be new buildings launching. Hayes Village is an example. It's an old chocolate factory in West London. So, I mean, who doesn't want to live in a chocolate factory? It's brilliant. But
like
Willy Wonka.
And you know, it's really interesting facts about the development. So they created the Milky Bar there. They created also freeze-dried coffee, the process there. But then we launched the canal side living, so it's a completely different look and feel to the development than the Wallace Gardens collection. So, you know, there's opportunities throughout the development cycle to bring new life into the projects.
Yeah, but definitely visiting the sites, if people can visit the sites. Open, you know, most of our sites are open every day. We've got a sales team there that know everything about, you know, live and breathe those developments, and it gives everyone the opportunity to kind of learn as much as they can about it, see actual product. We'll have show apartments, even if we're 3 or 4 years off plan, we'll be able to show them what a finished product looks like, which I think is really handy, and it shows that we are actually building something that's going to be there. And
I remember that you have a project in a former Kodak factory.
Correct, yeah.
Yes, and it's not far from the Harrow School.
Harrow, yeah.
Because
So
it's one of the famous private school in England.
Yeah.
So Eastman Village, so that's the old Kodak factory, as you said. So we've retained the chimneys from the factory as a local landmark, but we're delivering over 2,000 properties in that project. You've also got the likes of Ridgeway Views, which is right next to Mill Hill School. That's also really well internationally very, very well renowned.
Yeah.
And then you've also obviously got the top universities in London as well. So you've got the likes of LSE, King's College, Cass Business School. So there's lots of opportunities for people to send their children there. And often people have already been to London. They have an affinity with London. Many people from the Middle East region, they love to go there on holiday. They go shopping in the West End. So, you know, there's so much of a sort of rich, diverse culture of London. So many reasons to invest
London
or to buy.
is very diverse and very different.
It's got so much to offer, I think. People can find something. Everyone can find something that they like. There's a piece of London kind of for everyone. So, we're just trying to make sure we're building in as many parts of it as possible to...
And it's an aspirational purchase as well for people from overseas. They dream of owning a property in London, but often they have this misconception that it's millions and millions of pounds to buy a property in London. Actually, property prices starting from £370,000. It's really affordable and allows people to perhaps buy for their children or buy a pied-à-terre or indeed just a pure investment as well.
You work in London, but of course we can support potential investors and potential buyers, but I know you have a team here in UAE, in Dubai.
So we help the customers understand the journey of investing or buying into London. But we do also have a representative team in Dubai as well. We also host regular events and launches across the region as well. So there's lots of opportunities to get in touch. We also have our social media channels. We also have our website as well. So lots of ways to find out the information. But most of the time, although it's a large property, it's a people business. And most people prefer to deal with a broker such as Nev, who understands the process and has looked after many customers in the past. So it gives reassurance and confidence to the buyers, but also means they're making informed decisions as well.
So you can have all support here in Dubai if you live here and you come here. And of course, there is a team which you welcome in London.
Look forward to seeing you in London.
Good to see you.
So thank you very much for this great conversation, and please subscribe and wait for more episodes on our YouTube channel. And just contact us if you're interested in investing in London. See you soon on Nevestate Real Estate Podcasts.